Yeah, I was trying to figure out how can I mesh business with sports.
Do you think that's just a self-awareness issue? Because I think the more you have self-awareness, the more you understand situational awareness. But without self-awareness, you can't have situational awareness.
I think self-awareness it's a huge skill to have. Most people don't have it. It's crazy.
Kane Sivison is a fitness entrepreneur and co-founder of Coach Catalyst, a platform that helps coaches manage clients and scale their businesses more effectively.
Kane is a keynote speaker and continues to impact the coaching industry by sharing insights from his journey.
Life's too short to work with jerks, right? It's just you can't do it.
Where does this kind of architecture comes from, the thinking behind optimization?
I think it's
In this episode, you're going to hear from one of my good friends, Kane, and business partner, colleague, and someone who I've been able to learn a lot from over the years. We all have our strengths, and he's someone who's always kind of like complimented me, but at the same time has challenged me. I think it's really important to have the people that you look up to really, really close to you in your life from a professional standpoint and personal. I think you're going to get to hear a pretty cool backstory from an overall quiet guy in general, but yet has had a huge impact on, if you're a coach or a trainer, I'm sure you've been impacted by his teaching without even knowing it's coming from him, as well as what he's doing in business today.
Oh man, welcome.
Thank you.
Halfway around the world. Oh man, it's been a fun journey.
It has. It has.
Oh man, we don't talk much publicly, you and I, but we talk every day, which is crazy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We have a lot of conversations about a lot of different things. It'll be fun to do this on camera for once.
Let's not tell everybody everything. Before we get started, who is Kane?
Who is Kane? That's a great question. Let's see. I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin. You know, a normal Midwest growing up, I guess I could say, but grew up playing a ton of sports, right? I am an athlete at heart. I love being out there, being able to use my body, being able to push my body, do different things. I've been able to take that journey to different areas of my life, whether it be business, whether it be athletics, whether it be in, you know, as a dad, as a husband. I think this has really taught me a lot about life, how to be better in multiple different areas, and it's just kind of helped guide my life to different areas and different journeys, really.
The pursuit of skill with kind of what you've done is like learning how to do something repeated over and over and over again until you almost figure it out, right? As a basketball player, you got the size, 6'6".
Yeah.
You know, you played the game.
Didn't have the athleticism though, so.
Get there. I was going to get
I had to be skilled.
I think one of the first time you came into the building, like when you're at SSI, is like my favorite moment. Is like you're running around and I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. What's the first thing I said to you?
Yeah, so we're doing a warm-up, right? We're skipping up and down, we're doing different things right up and down. And I'm thinking, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I'm bouncing. And you walk over to me, and under your breath, you just whisper, "You were the shooter, right?" And I turned to you and go, "It's that obvious?"
It's that obvious.
And just laughed and walked away.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah, I can see it.
I thought I was hiding it. I thought I was like, I'm getting pretty good, but I guess not.
Most great athletes are incredible compensators. They tend to learn to hide their weaknesses really well. But when you're that skilled at the other thing, it's very obvious that you didn't have this. So it was pretty funny. So grew up in Madison, Wisconsin. Cold, miserable in my opinion in a lot of ways.
6 months out of the year, yes.
In 6 months, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. And that's why we enjoy summer so much, because we have to. Because the other 6 months is awful.
Cool. So you go on to college and you play basketball.
Yes.
What's that?
Gustavus Adolphus College. So St. Peter, Minnesota, middle of absolute nowhere, outside of Mankato. 10,000 people in the entire town, 3,000 of them are students. And so I went to a pretty big high school. Like, you know, for our area.
Powerhouse basketball school, right?
Powerhouse.
Yeah, some serious ballers.
So it's kind of funny because people think, oh, you went to play college basketball, you must have been the star of your high school team. I was like the fourth option on our high school team.
Wow.
We had a future, decade-long NBA pro who played with us. We had Mr. Basketball of Wisconsin, who was on our team. We had another player who played at Wisconsin in the future, another one who played at Whitewater, which was a powerhouse back then. So we were stacked. We were tall. I think our entire starting lineup was 6'4" and above. And so for coming out of Wisconsin, which isn't considered a big basketball state, we had an amazing team, and it was really a fun journey. But having a big high school, it kind of led me to almost wanting a little bit smaller of a college experience.
And you had options, like you got recruited, you're looking at Princeton, you're looking at a lot of places.
Yeah, looking at a lot of Ivy and different schools out east, but I really loved, it's kind of crazy, I do love the Midwest.
Interesting.
I love the vibe of it, I love the style.
You fit it, for sure. Like you're like the stamp Midwestern guy.
Big Scandinavian, right? That's where we settled, so like I fit in.
Makes sense.
I went to it was a Swedish school. I'm Norwegian, so like pretty close.
Lines up.
Yeah, but it works. And so it was, I remember the first day I set foot on campus too. I went for a visit in the spring. It was the first 70-degree day of spring. And if you're in the Midwest, that's the best day of the year. Right? There's kids out in the lawn throwing frisbees all over the place. Everybody's happy. The school's electric. And I just fell in love right away, and I knew that was the place I was going to go.
Nice. So you had the opportunity that you played college basketball throughout your career there, and then you went on to pursue your interest, whether it be in the sports marketing world, in the athletic department. Where was that?
Loyola Chicago.
Yeah. Great place, by the way. I mean, that is an amazing, not just college town, but it's actually an incredible lifestyle business town. It's one of my favorite places to visit. Again, not all months out of the year.
Few.
I have a few friends there, and I said, I'll see you in the spring. Not happening during this window. But, jazz bars, just a great opportunity. Food seems amazing, just unbelievable. So you go there. What was the role and I think that kind of transition, that was probably a big catalyst to your, not just growth, but your opportunities to say, I want to do different things.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how can I mesh business with sports, because those are my passions. I knew growing up in an entrepreneurship house, I knew I wanted to pursue business. I knew I wanted to, not just go and sit at a desk all day. I wanted to have sports in there as well. And so I thought athletic departments, it's perfect. It's a blend of business, it's a blend of sports. I can stay in that college athletic realm, which I absolutely love. And so they had one of the best, or one of the only actually MBA programs in the country with an emphasis in sports management. And so that's what drew me to the school first. I went there, and during my schooling, I was able to intern at the athletic department, so in the marketing department, doing a lot of cold calling, right? Trying to draw ads, sponsorships, worked all the sports games. I was the one who was picking people out for the halftime entertainment and going out there with them and paying my dues and doing all that.
Athletic director, just logistics.
Yes, exactly. So moved my way up, and I was pretty much the assistant marketing director there, doing a lot of the work. And it was really at that point where I realized, you know what? I'm not sure I want to be an athletic director.
That's a powerhouse basketball school, though.
It was.
So, you would imagine, the background, the interest. So it had everything that you would want.
It did.
Loyola is a great basketball program.
It's a great basketball program. Men's volleyball, one of the top in the country. Soccer.
You were a better volleyball player than you were a basketball player.
I was, actually, yes. Back in the day, we didn't have a lot of opportunities for men's volleyball.
Title IX didn't favor you that way. It swung the other way.
So the amount of opportunities for college men's volleyball is pretty slim, whereas basketball is a lot bigger. But yeah, I was...
Men's volleyball, though, at the Olympic level, is crazy impressive.
Yeah.
It's insane.
No, I was first team All-State volleyball, led the state in kills.
Wow. It is an impressive feat, when you see somebody that's moving that fast and that... Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, so volleyball still is a big passion in my heart. I love playing.
Oh, you still play now?
I still play now. Wow. Still play in a men's league.
I didn't even know they have that.
Oh, yeah.
Only in Wisconsin.
You got to do something in the wintertime. It's indoor sports.
I got it. I'm from Miami, so
you don't got that.
Indoor much.
Yeah.
No, we don't do it. And we don't do, people don't realize that they're not really that good at basketball. There's a couple guys that turn into like some really, skilled point guards that end up going up there, but it's not a big basketball area. Just even though they're playing pickup outside and they're doing a lot of this stuff, it is predominantly, a more physical sporting environment. And then the skill sports predominantly, they get better because of one of two things, right? If you're looking with like a poor or middle class environment, it's in the baseball environment because just the reps, right? You could play it year round and they could just rep, and it's not a very costly sport to get going. Or in your really wealthy environment, so like tennis and golf and some of those skilled sports where they have the opportunity to kind of not just pay to play, but pay to practice. And when you can pay to practice, you tend to get great opportunities. But not a lot of really good indoor basketball, a lot of really good indoor basketball, a lot of basketball that's great in South Florida for women because of just the athleticism. And then what ends up happening is they outgrow, like they grow, and then they get to the point where like this athleticism actually is able to be utilized. They're like, little baby giraffes for a while. And then they turn into these like really, freakish, female basketball players because they could do it. They could use it, right, in some way. But you go from being, working your way up, mainly hard work, opportunities, realize that like you're kind of grinded into this is what you want to do. You're getting your MBA, you're in an environment where it's like, you want to be in business innovation through sport. You realize you don't want to do that. What was the big like kind of eye-opening moment that you don't want to be an athletic director?
I think there was a couple of things. Number one was you literally sat at a desk all day and then you worked games at night, right? There were long, long hours. And I think in my head ahead of time, it was like, hey, this is sports and business, it's going to be more, I don't know why I thought it'd be more athletic, but it's like, hey, we're going to be moving around, we're going to do more things. No, you just sit at a desk all day. It's the same as working any other kind of business job.
Owner gets fat.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to do anything.
Yeah, and so that was a big piece of it. The other one was moving around a lot. If you actually wanted to make it a way up into the athletics department, it's kind of like coaching, right? You're not going to go to one school in one city and stay there forever. You're going to have to bounce around all over the place. You're going to move a lot.
And when you stay in one place, they don't necessarily value you. So what happens is it's a longer process. It's not like in the business world. So like in coaching, it's not healthy for you to stay in one spot. So you have to have the stepping stone careers where you get paid more when you leave. But in a business career, if you find a really good career opportunity, you could really express your value before you take off, right? So a lot of times it's more expensive to replace you so that you get the opportunity for growth. But in sports, they almost are like, you're never going to be bigger than the logo. So you have to work your way out of it in order to maybe even come back to those environments more valuable, but you got to have to go around a little bit.
You don't work your way up from the bottom assistant coach to the head coach. You leave and maybe come back, like you said.
We want to maybe absorb those experiences from those other environments because, you go from Loyola to maybe you go to a Big Ten school and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, that you got that logo. They like that when you come back because of just the value. So you experienced that. What did you want to do? Like, what was the biggest thing like that shifted? Obviously, you want to get from behind a desk.
Yeah.
But like, what did that mean?
So I actually went back to my playing career. Like one thing that happened to me during my playing career where I had knee issues the entire time.
Most basketball players do.
Yeah, but this was like certain years it was debilitating where I could barely get through games. I was, taking way more ibuprofen than I am proud to say right now, but just trying to make through. And nobody can ever figure out what it was. I went to doctors, I had MRIs, I had x-rays, I had everything. And it was just rest and ice. And that was it. And then nothing ever helped. And finally, after I graduated, great timing, of course, I was like, you know what, I got to figure this out. And I went down to see a guy at a gym down in Indianapolis. And within 2 weeks, I was better. No shit. And it was literally just, I didn't know how to train. Right, I had muscle imbalances all over. In D3 college hoops, there's no strength and conditioning coach. We are doing it on our own. We're looking on the internet. Like there was not great information back then. And so we're just doing whatever we wanted and squatting terribly. And I just had a lot of muscle imbalances everywhere. I didn't want anybody else to go through that pain. And so even when I was at Loyola in the marketing department, I was researching stuff online. I was looking at training programs. I was looking at, hey, how can I, feel better? How can I move better? And that really drew me to this gym culture, the strength and conditioning. And
this level of
originally,
like performance, but the right way.
And I was like, I didn't want anybody else to ever be limited and not hit their potential because of pain. I knew I didn't want to go the, PT route.
You've already done your MBA, you're in school.
Like I don't want to do that.
Makes
Plus,
sense.
the more and more people I talk to is like, you don't deal with athletes, right? Most of the time you're just dealing with adults who are in pain. So I wanted to go the athlete route. And so I kind of realized, you know what? Athletic departments isn't for me. I want to go be a gym owner. I want to go be a strength and conditioning coach. So I applied to a bunch of gyms down in the Chicago area and back in Madison too. And I figured, whatever I get a job first, I'm going to go to. Ended up getting an internship in Madison, back at a gym there, close to home.
You feel good. Yeah.
Had a girlfriend there at the time still, so got to come back and actually be in the same city for once, which is great.
Yeah.
Got an internship there and had a whole summer, zero pay, worked my ass off the whole time.
Yeah, just reps. Yeah.
Come in the gym early at night, stay late, do everything you can to absorb. Because that was the other thing, is like everybody else had gone to school for this.
Mm-hmm.
I had taken one biomechanics class once, and that was it. I was self-taught, self-learned, and so I was
Biomechanics and performance don't work the same for 6'6", by the way.
Exactly.
So probably need
We're
some
a little
adjustments.
different thing, but I was just trying to absorb as much as I could. Luckily, they kind of saw potential in me and hired me after that internship, and I was, hired on as a coach right away.
Yeah. Work ethic is an interesting thing. I mean, I spent so much time with you in actual business and marketing in those environments. Did you have the same, you have a really strong work ethic. I will absolutely, commend you for that. I don't think many people could keep up with me. I tell this to people all the time. I said, Kane and I are yin and yang in a lot of areas, but in the area in which it's like neck for neck and we're always racing, and not in a sense of pride. We're not doing it in the sense of like, I could show you up or anything else. It's just like, I can't outwork him and he can't outwork me. And it feels good to be around somebody that puts in the work the same way you do, but understands when the work is not good work, so that we both kind of counterbalance this idea of just doing busy stuff versus being productive. And I want to acknowledge that, because I think that's a really important thing to say when that's probably deeply ingrained into who you are. How much did that affect you in the gym environment when you're like young and hungry? Because that stage of your life in a gym culture, work ethic will get you by.
Yep.
So how much did that actually help you in the earlier stages of being in an environment that you didn't go to school for?
I think it was essential. I think that's actually why it worked for me, because that was just rooted in me as a kid. Where do you think that comes from?
I
think a little bit of again, Midwest values. Like, we put our head down and we work.
What does that mean for inside of your family's household? I think everyone wants to kind of categorize Midwest. They want to categorize, I'm from Miami, like every damn subdivision's a different place. Where I live today, completely different. What does that mean inside of your home though?
I think a big piece of it was like an entrepreneurship home too, right? My dad, he was in biotech for a long time, and he worked his way up inside a big biotech company in Madison. And a big piece of that was grinding. Hours are crazy. Travel. He was flying over to Asia almost once a month when I was a kid and back.
Not really making it work yet. Like, the people don't realize that is 10, 20 years and then something happens, right? It's like a bamboo, right? You don't see any outcome. It's just the day-to-day grind. You do it with this hope that it pops up one day. Is that what kind of happened?
Not even there. There, he just worked his way up. And then eventually he split off and started his own company with some other scientists. And then, again, for him, it was like a step back, right? He had worked his way up pretty high, and I was like, I'm going to take a step back because I'm going to start over on my own company. And that's when I really saw the work more, because he's at home. I can see him grinding. I can see him kind of putting his head down and trying to make it work. And it didn't work right away, right? Like all things, it takes a while. But eventually it did grow and grow and grow, and compounding is a magical thing.
Compounding is like the
eighth wonder of the world. I love it in all aspects of life.
So from not being the math guy, I don't get it.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Well, I appreciate having you on my side so that it can be amazing without me knowing all the details. But it's very clear to me that that's instilled into you. It's like your DNA, because it's not effort. Like, there's actually, believe it or not, you're putting a lot of effort in, but it's not effort to be to not be that. It's like, and I would argue that I find myself to be very lazy. And I know that you say that about yourself sometimes. It's like, well, if we're lazy and we're around people that we're like smoking just from like a work ethic standpoint, then, and they think that they're grinding, I'm like, boy, they have no idea. So I see that all the time in like the way that you show up and everything that you do, which is another trait that I think is really universally said and understood. I actually disagree with that, but it's just this idea like the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I know that you embody that.
Yeah.
I actually don't agree with that because, you know, in the area of like my gym, it's spotless. You can eat off the floor, you know, your shoes off, you wash your hands before you even go start your workout. And that's actually before the craziness of the world. Like everybody, like when that stuff happened in 2020, everyone was like, yeah, like nothing's changed here in Cav's place. Like you better not be sick when you show up and you're gonna do it the right way. So I was like completely OCD in the gym space. But if you go into my room, it's not that way at all. You go into my car, it's not that way. And it's just like, sometimes it's a matter of you show up where you think it matters. But you tend to be like, no, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Is that another kind of like core value that you saw, or is that just something that you've adopted because you see the impact of it?
So I think the reason I believe that so much is I don't think most people can actually do things differently well in different areas. I think you have to earn the right to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas I think most people, they're not going to be able to disassociate different environments. And so I think focusing more on doing, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything in your entire life. I think you almost need to do that first. It's kind of like guardrails, right? You need to be able to do that first in order to earn the right to do the other stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that's just a self-awareness issue? Because I think the more you have self-awareness, the more you understand situational awareness. But without self-awareness, you can't have situational awareness.
I do, yeah. I think self-awareness it's a huge skill to have. Most people don't have it. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. I don't know. I feel like I have a pretty good self-awareness. And I don't know if that's just because I do. I feel like other people should too. But I think it's a big gift. And I think it's a place where, because of that, I can actually do things differently in life. I can actually segment my life, and I don't embody it perfectly, but I think most...
I don't think anyone does.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen too many people skip over the details. Skip a little things don't matter, right? That doesn't matter. And it does. Like the little things matter.
There's going to be a moment that you slip, and if you don't have that foundational footing, there's going to be a problem. And we see it all the time.
Yeah. And so I think more people should focus on how you do one thing is how you do everything. And then once you kind of get to that level, you get that self-awareness, then you realize, hey, you know what? This area of my life is different. I can act a little bit differently here, but you have to get to that level first.
Now, you liked being in the gym, you liked working with people, you liked helping people. You know, you worked your way up into an environment, and then you ended up, you know, owning this gym. Yeah. This kind of like passion project turned into lifestyle entrepreneur, turned into really helping people. It kind of all came together at that point. And then you start to feel like, you know, like in a business, it's like the startup process, and then it becomes, you know, a level of, you know, startup, and then it becomes like this, like, I got to develop stability. Then it's after stability, then you could have success. Where, like, did you find success in that gym yet? Or was it, you know, was it still like the startup culture and you're figuring shit out all the time?
They would have said they were probably more on the stability structure. Once you get back there, it wasn't.
It wasn't? Like, they could pull the curtain
Yeah, I
than what they thought?
pretty much had to tear it all down to the bones and build it up again. So it was a little bit difficult because we did have some few other coaches already who had been there, you know, and worked in this environment and thought, hey, this is the way we do things. And so I was coming in as a, you know, 26-year-old, basically saying, hey guys, what you're doing is wrong. We got to restart. We got to go down to the bare bones. We need to restart from the bottom, and here's how we do things. From the business setup to, you know, the structure, employees versus contractors, like it was pretty much ripping everything out, redoing how we do training. And it was a little tough because I was trying not to, the old owners actually worked with me for a little bit, and they were still part of the gym for at least a few months. And so it was this balancing act of trying not to tell them.
You don't want to offend somebody.
Yeah, it's like, you did this
and
for a
by the way,
while.
it's not that they did it wrong. That's what they knew. That's
like,
right
this is now my way.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit of a balancing act, but finally I was like, hey, you know what? I don't care. This is mine now.
Yeah,
like,
you have
this is
to.
how we're going to do it. And so it went back to the startup phase, which again, it was kind of like taking a step back in order to take 2 forward. Sure. And then we just built it up from there. And, within about a year and a half, we were starting to get a pretty good growth going.
Yeah. And I when I met you, your roommate in college, another 6'6", basketball player, not the shooter.
Not the shooter, the athletic one. Yeah.
The guy that will dunk on you.
Yep.
The guy that has fun and breaks the rim, that guy. I met him in Chicago, ironically, at a business event, and we just kind of hit it off. And I was running my gym at the time, and I was in a room with a bunch of other business owners and entrepreneurs, and we had a 2-comma gym business that was 95% sports performance, and everyone's like, you can't make money working with athletes. And I'm like, well, I'm doing it wrong because this is all we do. And 5% were the local community, general pop, that we had somebody there that really liked to do that. So we kind of built a breakfast boot camp club, and then we had some other stuff that we helped with. But we were predominantly dominating the athlete market, putting 500 kids a year into Division I sports and all over, America. Like, we own that world, but I'm always striving to kind of figure out better business processes. So I was in an environment to where we're there to learn and to connect with other people. So I meet your, at the time, roommate in college that you guys have kind of started this thing with, and everybody, I was like blown away. I'm like, hey, you need to call your clients every day. You need to text message them every day. You need to let them know like where they are in their, in their nutritional guidances online, but you're working with them in person to kind of build that hybrid relationship. So no matter what happens, you always had this. And everybody in the room was like, yeah, I message my people every day. I check in with them every day. We kept them accountable. And I'm like, we got 100+ kids per group. What are you talking about? I'm dealing with 200+ kids every single day in my building. Like, how do you reach out to them? Like, what's going on? Everybody's doing this. I'm making more money than them. I'm obviously more successful in the business entrepreneur performance space than all of them, but they're better at it than me. And I was pissed. Like, in the world of sports, like, I was freaking angry that they were significantly better at operations than I was. I'm like, well, wait a second, what are you doing? And nobody said anything. Nobody told me what they were using. And I'm like, I remember Scott Rockcliffe, this is how I met Trevor. Like, Scott Rockcliffe goes, hey, you should ask Cav. He knows a thing or two about like marketing or positioning. What do you think of that headline? And I'm like, well, I don't even know what it does. So no, I don't know. And what do you mean? Like, well, if I don't know what it is and I'm in our space, then that's probably not going to convert for somebody who's not at our level or someone who's a perfect client like I would be. So I have no idea what you do. And he was like, well, what would you say? Well, I don't know what you do. And I come to find out the stupid software behind the platform that everybody was using to message all their people on a regular basis was Coach Catalyst, the platform that has helped coaches scale online without the stress of scaling. And I was like, well, that doesn't tell me that on the messaging. Wait a second, this is this like secret weapon that nobody told me about. I need to know about it. So we go out to dinner to a friend of mine's restaurant, Fabio Viviani's. And Fabio's an absolute character, but he's an amazing chef, like top chef. He's a guy who's literally a superstar, but a great personality. So we take Scott and Trevor out, we eat a great steak dinner, have a good old time, start talking. End up inviting you, or I invite Trevor to the mastermind that I run, which is at the time in Vegas. We do it in Miami, Vegas, and DC. And then the first time I met you was actually you and Trevor in the back of the room, both 6'6", standing. I was like, you guys go to the back.
Put us on stools back there.
I did. I was like, you guys go to the back because you sit up here, I won't be able to see anybody.
Exactly.
Not 6'6". So we're going to stay seated.
Yes.
Definitely not 6'6", and I wasn't the dunker or the shooter. So, but I sat there and I remember Ari Mizell came to speak, and Ari's one of my really close friends, probably the optimization, automation tech guy that I trust and love. He's worked with everybody from Tony Robbins, to Dan Sullivan, to Joe Polish, like a really heavy hitter in the big business space. So he kept mentioning all these softwares, he's like Slack and Zapier and
Clearbit. Yeah. Clearbit was the one.
Clearbit, which is like, a data platform.
Yeah.
Scrapes stuff and lets you know where you are. I'll never forget it. He goes, of course the software guys will know all this shit. And I was like, damn it. All right, I got to get to know them, right? And we had a great time, and really the value that you're able to provide to small business owners that are more so entrepreneurs than even business owners. I think like gym owners are more entrepreneur than they are business owners, because they're in the business of the service in which they're providing, and they're not able to scale that. So your software did that. Now, when you built this, did you build it while you were in the gym, when you built it for you, or you sold your gym? So was it like I sold my gym to then build this, or did it happen first? When did that happen?
Yeah, so I was still in the gym. I was still working full time. And it actually happened during one of our challenges, like the idea sparked. We had about 200 people in a challenge. And we were going through it, and we were doing habit tracking. And this was back in the day of, hey, we're going to do one habit a day. Focus on that. And what would happen is clients would come in like 2 weeks later, and we'd do a weigh-in with them, and nothing, like their weight went up. Like, well, what's going on? And they'd hand us their paper tracker.
Yeah.
And they didn't do their habits. And we're sitting there, yeah, of course, but we're wasting 2 weeks of time. And we realized, hey, we need to know how they're doing in real time. This isn't working. And so we said, hey, let's try text messaging. So tried to do text messaging, do a Zap, to a Google Sheet. Like, we tried to get all fancy with it. It didn't work. Right? It was just an awful idea. And so we're finally like, you know what? There's got to be a software out there. There's got to be a software. This is kind of when SaaS started showing up. There's got to be something out there we can use. And we looked around and tried everything, and there wasn't. And finally, we're like, you know what? Let's just build it. It's kind of a crazy idea, but let's just go and try to find it. And so we actually ended up hiring a dev team, not even a dev team, student workers from Wisconsin. Probably the worst people to ever hire are seniors inside of a college for a project. Because guess what? They don't care. All they're trying to do is find their next job outside of college. So we wasted 9 months.
In Wisconsin, drink a lot.
I mean, that happens too.
One of the only two options.
Yeah, so exactly. So we spent, $2,000 or something that seemed like a lot for us back then.
Oh my God, that could be rent for a
yes.
gym. It changed their life.
And so we're like, oh, $2,000, that's all we can spend to develop this entire software. We spent 9 months and got nothing. Absolutely nothing. One of the guys graduated, the project just died. So it was back to the drawing board. And we're like, okay, if we're gonna actually do this, let's do it right. And so we went and hired a dev shop in Madison. And we started out with $15,000. That's what they quoted us. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, to build the entire software, this is a ton, but if we can get it, that's good. Spent 2 weeks other than developing it, not ready. Another $5,000, right? 2 more weeks, more development, another $5,000. It just kept going up, timeline kept going out. But we were committed back then. And we kind of said, you know what? If nobody else wants this, if nobody else cares, we can use it in our gym. And it's going to make us better. And it's going to help us run better challenges. It's going to help us keep our clients accountable. It's going to improve our lives. And so in the end, we probably invested about $30,000 right away, which was a ton back then. Exactly. And had a mostly functioning software.
Sure.
I mean, it was bad. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen version 1.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally like this ugly thing that said, did you do X today? Yes or no? And that was it.
Sure. It is laughable to see how far the platform is today. I mean, even just with this latest like UI UX update, I get in there like, ooh,
this looks nice now.
Just to go back to be like, it worked back then. Because I mean, I've been using it so long, in the general population world, but actually it's been my thing to help me scale online, which I think is really fascinating that it worked then. So the behaviors and the psychology, human behavior hasn't changed. Their relationship and experience with apps and technology changes, so the innovation needs to get there. But in regarding the human behavior, I think that's going to win all the time. And I think that's what probably separates Coach Catalyst from every other app out there, because I wasn't very well connected within the general population app space. I was more in this kind of sports performance space. So Coach Me Plus, Train Heroics, these performance ones, they don't do messaging well because they don't communicate. Those clients don't need to communicate. They are always doing the thing, but they can't message. And it's like, well, the only thing that actually matters in these platforms is the messaging. And it's that not only just the messaging is, but the tracking so that you can then make messages. So I find that everyone kind of has like their one thing that they're good at, like this little thing here, this little thing there. And it's really this kind of catch-all that could actually resolve all of your concerns to run your business. So where it is today is just unbelievable, but it starts out at this kind of habit coaching structure. You scale it out, you have your business. When did you sell the gym and be like, I'm going all in on the software?
Yeah. So we started the software in 2016. That was the very first date that we actually sold something. That's kind of when we actually started it. And it was going well. And we started taking off and I realized, hey, you know what? Software's kind of nice. Like I don't have to be at the gym at 5 a.m. anymore. I don't have to stay till 8 p.m. Like it can scale. With a physical gym, we were really limited by space, right? We could really cap out about 250 people. We couldn't grow much beyond that. And so I started really diving into this software platform thinking this could be my future. And so it was 2019, and I had a GM at the gym, and we were talking about a deal. Talking about, hey, do you want to take this over? I want to do the software thing instead. And we came up with a deal. And about a month later, we're still like in the process, everything's about to be signed. Flood.
Sorry for laughing. Oh man.
22 inches of rain overnight, 4 feet of standing water in the gym. We had to shut down for 4 months.
No way.
Because it was sewage water. It was backup.
My God.
And so we had to rip everything down to the studs, rebuild the whole gym. Entire gym shut down for 4 months. No other gym in the city shut down.
It's a brand new gym. You need to start it over.
Yeah. So, and it's not like, oh, everybody has no place to go. It's like just our members couldn't work out. So they're going to go to other gyms.
Of course.
And we didn't have another place to
And at that
host
point,
them.
if you're doing a good job with them, like fitness becomes part of their life. So they're going to want
Exactly.
to keep
4
going.
months is a long time. And so obviously our deal kind of took a back seat, right? Who knows what's going to happen? Are we going to restart with the same number of members? How many are we going to lose? And so the deal kind of fell apart a little bit.
Yeah.
Went back, renegotiated, prices
Figured
went
something
down
out.
a little bit, deal changed. Cool, we got a new option for like a rent-to-own type of situation. So we can work overtime, make sure it's the right fit, make sure everybody comes back. Cool, I can focus on the software. I'm out of most of the day-to-day, but I can jump back in at any point. Working along, COVID. So that hit next. And that, of course,
First word, man. We don't talk about that. That smacks a lot of people. I actually think it's interesting because I think that during 2020, Coach Catalyst was the thing that positioned you. And then at that point, I started going in and helping out on the strategy side. You know, I had a good relationship with both of you. You were my biggest naysayer. I remember that. Yeah, you're like this.
so we don't need you. Why do we need you?
It's like an interesting story. Why did you say yes?
So I think there was number of reasons. The reason I said no was I made a huge mistake in the business. I focused on the product way too much, right? It was all about if we build the best product, they'll find us. That's all
Sure.
that matters.
Yep.
Marketing, I'm not a self-promoter. I don't like talking about like,
You're a Wisconsin guy.
Yeah, it'll take care of itself, right? I don't have to tell people how good I am. They'll just figure it out. And so I was like, we don't need marketing.
You're 6'6", everyone sees
Yeah,
you. You don't need attention.
yeah, we
You
don't
already
need
got the
attention. We're good.
Makes sense. I'm starting to understand the history now.
Yeah, and so right away I was like,
I had to climb this battle, so I want to hear why you were such a pain in the ass.
3 situations. The first one was actually messaging the software. We were a habit tracking software. That's what everybody wants. Habit tracking, accountability. That's it. And you at one point said, you're a communication platform. That's the number one thing you are. You need to own communication, and that's it. And at that time, I was like, that's stupid. Like, communication's an afterthought. They're in there for the accountability. And you gave me one line. I don't remember exactly the line, but I tweaked it slightly to, if you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. And I put that out there, and it resonated, it hit. And I was like, shoot, he's right.
So the reason why is like I was doing consulting for software companies in the space because I had such large body of work with athletes and people that I was interacting with that I was training thousands of people. I knew what was going on, and every single platform I was working with was neglecting messaging. And it worked in the athlete space, but it never worked in general population. So we weren't able to take this platform and move it over to an everyday user. And I was like, you solved the habit problem. Like that is the actual coaching problem. Like the habits, the coaching, the rhythm, like the getting people to change their behaviors is Coaching 101. Nobody solved that because nobody cared about that. Challenges are like the momentum thing, which, there was a big fitness mentor that was going around years ago. It was like Hermosi's mentor. He became very popular in a lot of the challenge spaces. Pat did a lot of challenges. He passes away, not Pat, but the other gentleman passes away, but everybody kind of took that and ran with it, and you had the kind of gym launch model and all these other models, and they were dropping the ball. And I was like, I would tell everybody, like, guys, gym launch needs Coach Catalyst. And it turns out to be, ironically, the best or most successful gym launch gyms that were the most successful were, again, Coach Catalyst platform users, because you solved the coaching problem. The coaching problem is a habit problem. The relationship problem is a communication problem. So I think once you solve the communication problem, you now owned the client. But before that, you were renting, and you're only renting based upon proximity. So the closer you are to them, the more powerful it is. But as the client moves away, both based on proximity or based upon distance and time, where the space, it became a little bit of an issue. So I'm glad that you ran with that. I think you definitely tweaked words matter better than I did.
I improved it, but the premise was there.
I premise was there. I always talk about like words.
Yeah.
I think that was it. What was the others? Nice things about me.
No, of course. We got to limit that a little bit, but the next one I remember vividly was we went out to California to visit with somebody who was looking at using our software in a lot of spaces, a lot of gyms.
This is enjoyable for me. Actually,
this was a big meeting for us at the time.
Huge meeting. I remember.
We were thinking, oh my gosh, if we can land this, like, we're made. This is it.
Which is a true statement too.
It could have been. It honestly could have been. Yeah.
I got some ideas on it.
And so, of course, it's a big meeting. I'm going to call around, right? I'm going to talk to some people, get some insight. I called a couple mentors that I'd worked with at the time. Hey, what do you think? What should we do? And got some advice. And I called you. And you're like, okay, here's how it's going to happen. A, B, C, D. This is what he's going to say. This is what he's going to do. This is what the other people in the room are going to do. This is going to be the outcome. This is what you're going to feel when you leave. This is actually what's going to happen. Completely different from anything else anybody said. And I kind of, okay, maybe, but like these other three people are saying similar things. I'm just going to focus on this stuff over here. We'll see. Go out to the meeting. Everything happened exactly as you said, to a T. Yeah, and it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't a good outcome after we got back. And I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, that's 2 times in a row. Like, 1, lucky. 2's a pattern.
Definitely lucky. Let's just say
a
lucky person.
1 can be lucky.
Actually, I was pretty angry in that moment because I'm like, man, I felt bad this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I knew the way it was set up. I'm like, the guy's going to do this. And unfortunately, zebras don't change their stripes. So it was pretty easy to see if you've seen it before. So these are just pattern recognitions is all it was. So yeah, I do remember that conversation, and I do remember like how I felt. It wasn't a good feeling. So like kind of like when you don't get those good feelings, the worst thing you could ever do is say, I was going to say that. And I kind of not like to hold that back. I tend to be the person that's like, if I'm feeling it, I'm okay with being wrong. What's made me successful in coaching is this idea that I do fail more than other people. I just fail when the lights are off. Most people don't fail. They fail when the lights are on, and then they wonder why they don't win. Like, I fail when the lights are off so that when the lights are on, we win. So I was okay with, behind closed doors, super private conversation, level of trust, telling you what I really feel or think, because what happens is if I don't say it and then I come back and I say, well, I knew that was going to happen, I'm just a jerk. So yeah, I remember that, and it did go down that way.
But you didn't hold it over to us, like you didn't hold it over me afterwards either. It wasn't hey, I told you it was going to happen. Yeah.
I don't feel good that it happened. I didn't do anything to do it.
No.
It was my opinion of the patterns that I see from people and personalities and character in environments, but it's also business. So like the biggest lesson that I've learned recently with you, and this has been really hard for both of us, but mainly for me, I think you've seen me actually emotionally different than I've showed up in a lot of ways, is, see, in sport, and I operate at a high level in sport, so you have a lot of eyeballs on you. there's a known unspoken truth to integrity. That if you cheat or you screw people over, like, wait a second, you're going to get called out. Things are going to be set up. Then it's going to be a little different. Like like there's a rules to the game. Yeah. And in business, having good character is not praised. It's the only thing that's praised is, did you win? So if you happen to screw somebody over and you come out on top, then you're a good business guy. And I've taken hits because I would choose to not do that versus take the win. But I got to go home to, wife and a son and show them, like, is that how we win? Like, yeah, like, you don't want to bring, a gun to a knife fight, and you don't want to hold people hostage, and you don't want to be in an environment where you're doing that, because, your reputation matters. Yeah. So, I kind of learned that recently, and it's taken a big toll. So part of, like, the feedback that I gave during that moment was, I don't want this to happen, but at the same time, like, if it is, I want to be very honest about what I think, so that at least there's an open discussion.
Yeah, I think I've always thought about the long game, right? I don't ever want to screw somebody over to get a short-term win, because it's going to come back and bite you. And I've seen it happen over and over again, sports, business, wherever.
It's just part of life.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, I got to look in the mirror at my own self. I got to be happy with my decisions at the end of the day. And
sorry about you looking in the mirror. It's unfortunate.
Hey, back in the day it was a little better, but slowly getting there.
No, your hairline's
I know.
Catching up to me.
I can't be pushing it up anymore. It's got to stay down. Slowly getting there.
I'm feeling good right now. So there is, and I agree. Like, it does come back to, it is part of life. I wish people understood that, because the rules of the game in business are structured, but the rules of the game in life are based upon the people in which you play with. So, you may be operating with a certain level of intention, and the other person may be operating with a certain level of integrity. And you don't know that until it's already too late. And unfortunately, people are collateral damage. So I see that a lot more today than I did before. I think I was more naive before. So I become a little bit more emotional about it, but I'm definitely seeing it. Now I understand, like, okay, well, we set the rules. We can't control other people, but we're going to set the rules. And part of some of the rules is we won't do business with people that operate that way. So, like, that was one of my biggest, like, this idea, like, I can change them, I can fix them, which was me not too long ago, became me saying, you know what, we just don't do business with you.
Life's too short to work with jerks, right? It's just, you can't do it. And I think one of the reasons I liked working with you was similar values, right? Hey,
not the jerk part. I was so excited.
That's in certain areas maybe, but when you own a business, when you're an entrepreneur, you spend so many hours at work, right? Even if you're not actually working, you're thinking about work. It's just kind of always on your head. Yeah, I can turn it off every once in a while, but, like, things are spinning all the time. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have to deal with people you don't enjoy working with, right? You want to be able to have fun. You want to be able to learn new things all the time, and especially you want to be able to grow. And I think one thing that I loved working with you on is you'd push me on all those things. Yeah. Right? You'd push me to do things that were uncomfortable. You'd push me in areas that, like, hey, I see potential here that other people might not see. It's like, you'd nudge me and make me do things that I wouldn't probably do on my own. And that's what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking to learn new things. I'm always looking to push that comfort zone as much as I can. And so trying to find people that are going to do that we believe are, good people in the long run. And just making sure we're not dealing with jerks. We're not dealing with people we don't want to have fun with and do business with.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really cool is, like, when you have shared values, you move much faster because you don't have to always have this like insecurity of what someone's going to do. I have a philosophy called the bluff that I've adopted from one of my friends and mentors, Dr. Joe Moncor, which is bottom line up front. So, recently you said, like, hey, I got to talk to you. And, like, the minutes of I need to talk to you till, like, when we spoke was just, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? What do I not know about? Are you kidding me? And it's like, you got to give me the bluff. But one of the things that I reassuring is, even if I did something wrong, like, the intentions are there, but we don't get judged by our intentions. We get judged by our actions. So I knew I didn't make an action that was out of line. But I wanted to kind of understand that. So next time, start with the bluff, because it was actually not a problem at all.
No.
I wasn't even involved.
It was hey, we need to have a quick discussion. Like, that's all.
You wanted to do something good.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
how do we do this well?
You just said like, I got this cool idea. Pause. I'll talk to you about it privately, not like, I got to talk to you.
Said we should talk first.
You did. And I'm like, you never say that. I'm freaking like, you're like, what's going on? What happened? So bottom line up front, let's
Do that better written than spoken.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Well, a smart man told me that clear writing means clear thinking. So one of the things I pushed you on was speaking, presenting. I think you're such a great presenter because you have all these ideas. It's not even that you have great ideas. It's that, being what you guys have built with Coach Catalyst, and what I'm proud to be associated with on the marketing side, helping you with the strategy and helping you with like what's needed at the market, because there are some trends that I am a good trend spotter, and I see things normally before they pop off. So I want to catch that wave. But what you've done such a great job on is basically like the thousands of clients that you have, millions of workouts logged a day. When you start to have this much data and data drives the decision, you could look at pattern recognition and be like, what are the 1% people doing? And, I knew I was in that category in the fitness and performance world, but I don't know what others are doing. And that's why when everybody raised their hand, I wanted to be involved. So, and I want to share that with the world. So you start kind of taking that, and it kind of manages your messaging across all of the platforms. And then it's like getting it out there to the world. So I thought you had done such a great job of like seeing the patterns of what people are doing that are successful, and then you were able to articulate that to everybody else to where they receive it well. Because if one person, which is just me as a gym, has success, everyone's like, I want to do what Cav does. And I'm like, dude, like, you're not going to ever do what I do. I can give you the playbook, but you won't do it. And that your game plan is very different than your playbook, because here's the playbook for winning. But your game plan is like, you're starting way back here. And one of my fast tracks was the people I knew, was where I worked, the athletic success that I had, the people I was around. Like, you can't just borrow someone's resume and then take a fast track, but you can borrow somebody's playbook and then collapse time. So what you've done is been able to share stories of the most successful users across thousands of people in the same area of work and business. And I think that message needs to be loud and be heard. So, I want to commend you for like sharing that message, because most people would use that for themselves. So I think that it's a really cool thing that you've done. And now we're doing that with like small businesses now. Like, we have this crazy idea to where we take the company that was the marketing company, and then we grow it and we build it together. And we've been able to build, a global company on the marketing side that has, at one point over 100 people worldwide that are serving small businesses. And, what you do best, believe it or not, is architecting a business. I got to tell you, like, I am not great with that. And having somebody that has a skill that is as good as what I'm good at in another area, but in an area that actually provides value to a business, is in this kind of architecture, structure, process. That's not the way you want to do it. Get out of my way, almost. Like, and you say that all the time, but you architect a business to where the plumbing works and to where everything makes sense, and then it all aligns, and all of a sudden you're making money. And it's not even that you're making money, that is the scoreboard of success. But what is coming from that beforehand is that we're able to run plays, just like in sport. We're able to run plays every single down that are more potential for success. Like, you have a greater chance of success with the plays that we're running based upon what we're seeing in the market, because we're working off of really good data. We're also working off of really good architecture and blueprints. And I think most people have a bad business model. They really, really do. And, we've bought a bad business model. Like, be blunt, like we purchased a very bad business model, but within a year we've gutted it, kind of like what you've done in the gym. We've gutted it. You have absolutely architected the business structure. Cloud infrastructure is dialed in, cybersecurity is dialed in, marketing pipelines dialed in, sales process, technology stack from ClickUp to what we're doing on Stack and everything else. with the new technologies of the world and using, from Google Gemini to using all of the other AI platforms, like we are way more advanced today than we ever were, but it's built on the foundations that you architected. So where does this kind of architecture comes from, the thinking behind optimization?
I think it's problem solving, right? That's what I loved as a kid. I loved looking at super complex problems where things interact with other things and taking a look at it and kind of peeling back those layers and just kind of figure out what's the pattern, right? I'm a data guy, I'm a math guy. I love numbers. It came naturally to me as a kid. And so looking at things, I look at patterns, I look at repetitions, I look at, hey, how can we do this over and over and over again? And so a lot of it's just looking at a complex problem, being able to dissect exactly what's going to happen, right? Where are we at point A? Where do we need to get to? What's the most efficient way to get there?
It's not always linear.
It's not always linear at all, right? It's not a straight line all the time. Everybody says, oh, quickest point is a straight line. Sure, it could be, but hey, guess what? There's going to be another problem right here, another problem here. And again, it's just solving the next problem and the next problem and the next problem. And eventually you're able to get from point A to point B in the best possible way. And I love efficiency, right?
Oh, I know, yeah.
I love things working and effective and just kind of like moving through seamlessly. And so I think a big piece is just looking at this business as a problem. This is one big jigsaw puzzle. We're gonna have to put pieces in different places. We're trying to make it easy too, right? I think a lot of people who do a lot of automations, a lot of process, they make it too complex.
Oh my God, it's like the spider web of like conditional logic,
because you
can,
structure,
yeah,
right? And it's because it makes you feel smart.
Well, the issue is because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Store for ego, it feeds your ego, and we see this all the time when we help businesses with their marketing. It's like you got to do all this. It's like
No.
We have 5 things that we help people with, and it's either do you have a brand problem? We believe brand is everything. Like first off, do people know how to talk about your brand? If they don't know how to talk about your brand, then you actually have a brand problem, because your brand is your digital reputation. That's all it is. Do you have an attention problem? Do you have enough eyeballs on you? You can't get a date to the dance because no one sees you. But then do you have an attraction problem? So you have a traffic problem, then do you have an attraction problem because you have traffic, but you don't have conversion. So the conversion is attraction. Does the market seem to be attracted to you? Where like you have enough eyeballs on you, you still can't get a date to the dance. Well, we got to work on the way you look. Do you have an accessibility issue? That comes down to value, right? So you could convert somebody, but then you lose the value because you don't make it easy to do business with. So it's like, are you showing the value? Because when you show someone value, they're always going to buy. But if the value is a little bit like, I don't know if I'm getting here, well, then it's probably because you haven't expressed that. But if you have great levels of value and good accessibility, then that kicks off the flywheel. And what that does is that flywheel starts spinning and then you almost can't stop it.
Yeah, I think the other big piece of that too, when we're talking about accessibility too, I mean, you're a marketing guy, right? Talking about marketing funnels all the time.
Sure.
We always talk big at the top, small funnel. What most people don't realize is a lot of businesses, a lot of service businesses, even product businesses, that's not the only funnel. That's just the upper portion. There is an exact opposite funnel at the bottom.
After they become a client.
They actually become a client.
Yeah, the customer journey.
Where it becomes better and better, and you can expand and get more, and they'll pay more and more money and stay longer and longer.
You want to ascend people through your product ecosystem, because if you could ascend people into your business and your portfolio of products, then they'll stay with you longer. There's actually better relationships. But more importantly, I think people don't understand this, is if you are the right solution, then you can add more value to that business. So like we help small businesses win. Like it's a world of sport, right? And there is a scoreboard. So like the last piece, that 5th piece, is like the fact is, are you winning? Is it a win or a loss? Like, home versus away, do you win? And if your scores are up, profits and loss over time with good margins, and you know your numbers and you know your data, it clearly states that you're winning. Now, the issue that I run is that I think a lot of people become like money hungry, and then they start making decisions that are out of alignment with their value set because they're looking for something that's like a shiny object. But if you provide more value to people in the community, so it's your product or it's your service, then what ends up happening is your digital reputation will be bigger and better, and you're adding good in the world. Because I mean, I believe this, you and I believe this. We've kind of built something that I think is really cool at Sites at Scale that supports Coach Catalyst, that supports all of these other big businesses and small businesses that are doing really good things. And a lot of times they're experts and they want to spend their time, like gym owners, on the skill. For you want to shoot. How many balls do you shoot a day?
Every summer I shoot 100,000 shots.
Yeah. Well, no wonder you're a shooter.
Yeah. That's all I did.
I don't think I've ever shot 100,000 shots in my life, right, in basketball. But that repetition and that consistency has found what you need to adjust and be like, oh, I just figured it out because of the volume. And what we've seen in the volume of work that we've done, 10 years in this business now, thousands of customers, many different businesses that we're supporting. I think what we're looking at is everybody thinks it's a product problem or a service problem. But if you're already good at what you do, those are the best people that we work with. So we work really well with good coaches. We work really well with good business owners that are good at the service they're providing. We work really well with people that provide a great product and nobody knows about it.
Yeah, they're the hidden gems.
Exactly.
Right? You ever go to that restaurant that's amazing,
but nobody knows about it?
Yeah. We basically help hidden gems become discoverable online. That's what we really do. And it's those people who are these secret weapons, who don't have the attention. And that's the thing that's missing. And that's, I think one of the reasons I resonate so well with it is because that's what I did in my gym. I focused on the service. There was other coaches in there that were way worse than me. Terrible coaches. Packed gyms every time.
Yeah, they're popular.
Yeah, Coach Catalyst, we started out focused on the product and we did not promote ourselves. We didn't talk about ourselves. We didn't market. And we struggled for a long time until we changed that.
Yeah. Well, it's the best product on the market. And the thing that I find that's interesting is that you did focus on the product. It is the best product on the market. Why? All of the competitors are built by venture capitalist companies or big investments, or they were bought out by big companies, and they're not ran by people that actually work in the service space with other people helping them, especially in an area that's so hard to deal with, which is habit changing.
Yeah, and you can tell, right? The software looks great. The features look cool. It doesn't actually work as a coach. Yeah, it's
most important software is, does it work at human behavior level? It makes you a better coach so you don't have to be. Those other products, you have to be a really good coach, or you're a bad coach and you don't know it. Most of the people in the other softwares, they're not great coaches and they don't know it, but they're good at the marketing, the TikTok and the PR side of things.
But then they just churn through clients. And it's always just trying to find the next guy and the next client.
The fastest way to grow and scale your company is to retain your clients, not to actually go and get new ones. So if you're really good at what you do, you keep your clients a long time. So how much more valuable is it if a business could help you get a few more clients the right way, where you could then go focus more on the product and the service?
Yep. And I think the good coaches get that. And that's why we did so well with them. I think a lot of new up and coming coaches, they forget that. They think, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. If you really need more leads every single month, you're losing clients left and right.
Yeah, you can't churn at that rate and be successful.
Exactly. You'll never be successful.
And I look at it like this, is where's your effort? My background's in biology with a concentration in neuroscience. I hyper focus on very, very small details that make the human body perform that nobody else sees. So I'm so focused at the cellular level, what is actually taking place, so that I can make this other change. And everyone's like, well, that doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter because you're not a high performer, but in the high performance environment, it matters. I think business owners, they focus on the marketing because they don't want to actually be good at their product. So if they actually wanted to be good at their product or service, then when you actually spend the time to get really good at the marketing, it's exhausting. Platforms change every day, tech stacks change all the time, things get updated. So, we've built a system that's a fulfillment engine to my strategy, because I'm good at the strategy, and you're great at the fulfillment. Combining those, we serve a small business so they can do what they do best, so that we can help them do that with more people and serve the market.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? they don't want to be told they're bad. They don't want to be told they're bad at business.
Suck now. Let's make it.
Oh, they of course they do. They're not good at all.
No one's off limits.
Yeah, not at all. But they need that growth engine behind them. They need that attention. They need that attraction. They need that accessibility in all aspects of their life, in all aspects of their business. And I think being able to serve these small businesses, which, I mean, we believe are the lifeblood of the community, right? These things that growing up as a son of a small business owner, my wife's parents were a small business owner. Like these things that really actually drive change in communities, drive change in people's lives, but they're generally not run that well. People just don't know who they are, and being able to help them, I think, just feels like a good, fulfilling mission, as well as something that's really fun to work on. And there's always new businesses and new opportunities to try.
Yeah. I mean, you say it really well. You're much better with words than I am, at least in writing.
Right.
Well,
I gotta think through it then.
I wish you all the success in the world, and I hope that you win and you kick ass and you do great, because if you lose and you suck, I don't like being around you, but it would be really bad for me too.
It would be. We're kind of win-win here.
I think that the best part about this is just that, you know, we're doing it in an environment that we actually care about, with people that we love, and that people that we do believe make an impact. And it's been fun to grow. And it's also been very prideful on my end. I have a lot of pride in like how I show up as a dad with my wife and my son, because of the people I'm doing it with. And that has to say a lot to do with your family and your wife and your kids. And I always joke around, it's like, hey, you know, we have 3 biggest investors, and we have one in which that is really special to you, that we've learned a lot from in a lot of different ways, both connected and even just from what we've learned through the lessons passed on to your behaviors. But one that I would say 3 that are the most important is basically 2 pandas and a tiger, right? So like my son and your 2 daughters are like, why are we doing this? So I want to say thank you. It's been fun. I want to see you, Coach Catalyst, Sites at Scale. And I'm thankful that you're the architect behind all of it. I get to be some of the face and the key person of influence behind it. I get to be the person that's loud and obnoxious in a lot of ways and yelling, because I'm still a coach. Yeah. But a coach has to learn to listen to the person that's designing things. So I appreciate you.
Well, I think we know our roles, right? I think that goes back to sport, is the best teams, players know their roles. Not everybody's the star player. Not everybody's a 3-point shooter. Somebody, you know, has to play all the different positions, the bench players, supporting cast, everywhere. And I think the best teams in the world, the best businesses in the world, they know their roles and they execute them to their best. And I think we do that as a company really well in all aspects, and that's what makes it really enjoyable.
It's been a lot of fun. It's not as much fun at the time that I dunked on you, but we won't tell that story today.
That didn't happen.
No, I dunked on him, like legit. Like you should have seen it. Like I'm talking, boom.
Like 8-foot hoop, maybe?
Probably the little one that the design team plays with. The little round one that the design team plays with.
I don't know if you can jump that high.
I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
You got it. Cool.